New Oscars rule seems obvious. I don't have a Guy Fieri voice. I'm really fucking this up. I bang, right? He just yells shit.
Why don't
Winner,
you start over? No, why don't you
I,
start over again?
I
It's
don't,
fine. Just start over again.
do me a Guy Fieri voice real quick.
Winner, sinner's dinner.
New Oscars rule seems obvious. Winner, sinner's dinner. I don't have this one either. You really set the sights real high.
Just
Pedro
pick and stick a
Pascal
voice.
is 50 and he can stretch. Paul Rudd plays with power. Star Wars stuff and so much more coming up this week. News dump.
Pedro Pascal is 50 and he can stretch.
Yeah, you expected too
Come
much out of
on.
me on this one.
This might be my best headlines yet of having you play around,
You did
get
you
into
went-
character.
You went the opposite. You had like 3 headlines and had 2 characters for me to do.
I had 5 headlines. I had 2 characters in there, and you complained about both characters.
I did, yeah.
Big news for you, Mac. Over at McDonald's, the chicken tenders are back right now at select locations, chicken select locations, and it'll be nationwide on April 29th. And the snack wrap will be back on the 14th. Of what month? We do not know yet.
So 2 things here. McDonald's chicken tenders were never good, but when they are dressed up as a snack wrap, they are good. I don't know what happens in between the tenders and the dressing. I'll fuck with a snack wrap. I used to have 2 or 3 for lunch back in my poor days. You know, they were like $1.99 or like $2.29 a pop. Really good value. I hope they're pretty much the same as they were 15 years ago. But I could fucks with a snack wrap. And like, it's a good quick thing. You know, if you're like near a McDonald's, like sometimes 6 chicken nuggets ain't going to do it for you. 20's too much. You know, it's nice. A snack wrap.
You can just go 10. They have a 10 option.
Yeah, I don't know about that. If you go 10, you might as well go 20.
I will say the easiest way to be a cool uncle, bring over 20 nuggets.
What about 20 snack wraps now?
That's how you make friends. I will say one of my favorite parts, I used to live with one of my cousins, and he would just show up randomly like, hey, I got 25 Taco Bell tacos.
On the party pack?
Yeah, you can have some if you want.
Yeah, like,
fuck yeah.
All right. I mean, I know you're not going to eat all 25, so I guess I will have some.
You've given me no option. News dump. The Academy Award has announced that all members must watch all nominated movies in each category to be eligible to vote at the Oscars.
Yeah, this if it wasn't obvious in years prior, they outright had anonymous Oscar voters this year talking about how they had not seen specific things, and so they didn't vote for them. And that's just, you can't, that would be like a baseball writer not voting for Shohei Ohtani because he didn't watch one of his games. And you're like, yeah, but you know he exists, and you know everyone else says he's really good. So it's just ignorant is what it is, Goo. And I know it's not the biggest honor in the world to be able to vote on the Oscars, but like, take it a little seriously, you know? Like, they're not asking you to do all that fucking much.
The Academy will start tracking viewing via members-only Academy Screening Room app. The Screening Room app. Also, if you see screenings, film festivals, etc., members will have to fill out a form declaring when and where they watched each film. Mac, what this tells me, they're 97 in, they're 97 Oscars in. Is that what it is?
I like, the people could also not vote. That option exists as well.
No, but so what I'm saying, though, however many they are in,
yeah,
all previous Oscars are bullshit.
You're putting an asterisk on all the prior Oscars.
There's no evidence that everyone who voted on each category nomination has seen all the movies. This really gets into like 1994. You know, we all like Forrest Gump, but there are better movies.
No, that's what I mean. So, like, if it wasn't obvious in the past that people weren't seeing the best movies of the year, it became quite obvious, especially this year when you have voters talking about it. And I don't even know, you know, maybe it was off the cuff. It was certainly on the record because it was reported. but you had multiple people talking about not seeing certain movies, and it's like that's fine.
Or
If you've only seen 5 of the 10 Best Picture nominees, don't vote. You don't need
yeah,
to have a say.
or people saying that they were voting for a specific actor because they felt it was their time to win their first Oscar when they had already won Oscars.
But that is dumb. The bias stuff doesn't bother me as much because that's inherent in every voting you're going to have with people. But
Stop
when you're
with the
outright
greatness
admitting to
fatigue.
not,
No.
I
You
get
vote
it.
for whoever the best player is. Nikola Jokic is the best player in the NBA. Give him the
Yep.
MVP.
And LeBron James was for the 10 years prior, and he only won what, 3, 4? You know,
Michael
it
Jordan
happens.
was every year in the 90s, and they're like, you know what? Let's give it to Karl Malone. He could fill the stat sheets. Don't get me wrong. Bad guy. Fill the stat sheets, though.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. Like the bias comes into play, the narratives come into play, and it's just the way it is. Especially when you get in, like, to me, at least, and correct me if I'm wrong. You're
Never
good.
have, never will.
You're good in both worlds here, and I think as am I. Art is more objective than sports. So sports,
Yes.
usually it's a little more obvious when there's a winner of something or more
Well,
deserving.
now, especially with war
Movies
or
are
with the
different.
advanced stats.
Yeah, exactly. We can really like optimize how one can vote. When it comes to movies, there is nothing like that. There's no war for movies. Now, I'm sure some nerd on the internet has come up with something, and I'd love to see it.
So I'm
But
sure we can figure this out.
yeah, like if a movie does lots of things well, I'm sure it's going to have a high war. But I just think it's important that like if you're given a vote, you should see everything, and that's just part of it. Like, okay, maybe there's 2 or 3 things you don't want to watch, or they're bad. The other 70 to 80% is like the benefit of it. I don't know. It's just I'm very bothered by this.
I'm sure the previous rule was if you haven't seen all the nominees, shut up. Shut up. Don't tell everybody. Don't explain yourself.
Yeah, say nothing.
News up. Over at the box office, Sinners took home the top spot with $61 million worldwide. It was 45 domestic, the highest grossing domestic IMAX opening ever for a horror film. You just saw it. Is it a horror film? Do you actually think that?
Yeah. So I have
Okay.
also I have a couple issues with the film. It's really fucking good.
I'm not asking you how good
Yeah,
it is. I've
yeah.
seen people debating if it was a horror movie.
So that's sort of what I'm getting at. It's clearly a vampire film. It's marketed as a vampire film. How the vampires get brought into it is kind of like shoehorned in, and you just accept it because going in it's going to be a vampire film. But if you went into that not knowing that, you'd probably be like, what the fuck are we doing here? Because there's a great story and great characters already going on separate from the vampire stuff, which is why I think there's a good argument that it's not a horror movie. There are horror elements, and there is blood and murder and whatnot. But like the basis of the movie is not horror oriented. It's just like a aspect of it. So I could see the argument for it going either way. Like I'm interested to talk about it with you because I have listened to some of what hashtag Dork had to say. Keeps the king of recency bias. He thinks it's the greatest movie of all time, and Ryan Davey also really enjoyed it, as did I. But we get to, I think, break stuff down a little more minutely, having 40 rungs where they have 6. So I never know where like a 5.5 on the Dork scale ends dog wise and a 6 begins, because I'm sure not all 6 out of 6 movies are 40 doggers. You know what I mean? So I'm interested to eventually talk to you about this, hopefully in a couple days.
If you have a good shoehorn, the shoe goes on real easy.
That's true. That is true. It's a great point about shoehorns.
Minecraft came in second at 46,723,000 worldwide.
I also go not that this affects the movie, but it's just I'll probably never go back there. I saw Sinners at the Chestnut Hill Superlux.
Nice.
Superluxes are not for me. I don't need a fucking full meal. I was in a somewhat full theater on a fucking Wednesday afternoon somehow. Everyone's getting meals. Everyone's using their flashlight to see what their meals like. It's not the theater experience for me. I get why it's there, but I just give me some fucking popcorn. Get out of my way. Stay 2 seats away from me. That's my theater experience.
I've never seen Mac eat real food at a movie theater.
Never.
But all the screeners that we've seen brag while I'm over there hogging down some burritos. Max over there sitting saying, I don't want to poop my pants.
And I don't even eat popcorn during the movie. I eat it during the previews, and then I'm done. I put it away. Every once in a while, I'll dabble back in if I get a real itch, but I get popcorn. I eat it in like the 10, 15 minutes during the previews, and then I'm done with it. It goes off to the side. So I especially don't want to sit next to a guy eating wings while I'm watching Sinners.
If I started my own movie theater, I think one of the options I would put in play is a trough of popcorn. Like you can just put it right in front of you and have it up high enough so that if you don't want to use your hands, you can just stick your face right in there.
Okay, there's the thought.
And then you have you know how in a hamster wheel they have that water thing? Every theater has its own like hose that can drop down anywhere and just put more popcorn in there. If you get the trough, you get as much popcorn as you want.
Like if you brought someone on a date, dinner and a movie, and you fed them movie theater dinner, I don't think that's a very good idea.
Right, but if you feed them a trough of popcorn,
Now
you're
talking.
getting laid. Yeah. News up. Speaking of Sinners, Ryan Coogler, the director and writer of said film, confirms that an X-Files reboot is his next project, saying to Last Pod on the Left, damn, that's a fucking good name. Mac and Goo is such a bad fucking name. But he said, I'm fired up to go back to it or to get back to it. If we do our jobs right, it will be really fucking scary.
So the nice thing about this movie and what it means for the X-Files is the X-Files is like scary, but it's also not like full-on horror. And I also feel that Sinners is a bit that. So this is like proof of concept that Coogler can do that. Not that we doubted that Coogler couldn't do it. I think like honestly, after watching this movie, if you've seen all of other Coogler's movies, you're just like, yeah, give him the keys, let him do whatever he wants. He's one of the now 3 or 4 directors in Hollywood that you're like, all right, I'm going to see whatever he's doing, Michael B. included or not.
News up. Got our this is a full trailer. The first was more of a teaser, correct? For the Fantastic
It seems
Four?
we have a little bit more of a storyline put together here, and they're actually talking about the pregnancy out loud now.
Talking about the pregnancy, it shows all 4 characters using their abilities, using their powers. Hence, in the sweet headlines that Pedro Pascal is 50 years old exactly, and he can stretch. We see Galactus walking around, and we also see, after the Silver Surfer has themselves a Capri Sun, looking real shiny.
Yeah, I don't know what people expected Silver Surfer to look like. I mean, that's what Silver Surfer looks like. It's just not a great character design. It just is what it is. I'm pretty confident now that Galactus is coming to Earth to kill Franklin Richards, son of Sue and Reed. Now, if you don't know who Franklin Richards is, you should start Googling him because he's a massively powerful character that has a lot of ramifications in the MCU. I'm pretty convinced that's what this is going to be. And in order to escape that, they have to jump out of that universe. That's my guess as to what's going to happen and how they get brought into our MCU, and sort of to survive, I guess, like Galactus will devour that world. They come into our MCU sort of stuff. The characters seem like spot on. The 4 Fantastic Four characters seem really well done. And I'm just looking, I love, you and I, we love a good group dynamic as much as we love solo adventures. Like Guardians is our favorite shit for a reason. The team ups are always good. This is a new team up for us. So this is just going to be fun.
Maybe it's because of what we just got with Captain America, the last movie, and maybe the over buildup of these next couple movies. I'm not very excited right now for MCU.
Okay. Well, I'm looking forward to both this and Thunderbolts. So I'm opposite of you, I suppose.
Speaking of Thunderbolts, news dump. Screenings have begun, and so have spoilers circulating on the interwebs. So if you are looking to avoid those, start muting on X now and avoid Reddit.
I'm too deep on the internet. I'm on the internet too often to avoid these. So I haven't seen them yet, but I'm sure the minute we finish recording, the first thing that'll fucking pop up on Reddit or on Twitter is one of these spoilers.
News dump. Anthony Mackie said that Avengers Doomsday will end with a cliffhanger, also saying that no one is safe, everyone is expendable. This is via Collider. He also said with Doomsday, it is going to give the audience that old Marvel feeling that they always had.
So
That's via IGN. Yes.
The first part, everyone's expendable, no one's safe. It's going to end on a cliffhanger. We all knew that. That seems a real fact. A fake fact, Goo, and his opinion, moreover, seems to be that it's going to give us this old Marvel feeling. That's our hope. That's our desire. I don't know if that's actually going to happen. But the other stuff,
he said that about the last Captain America movie. Isn't that one of his quotes?
He might have just copied and pasted.
Just copied and paste all of his projects. He always puts that on there.
He's got a notes app, and he's like, "What'd you ask again? Hold on." Yeah,
because I've also seen rumblings that they are working on a way to give Thor a classy, maybe not death, but way out of this franchise.
Yeah, you have to imagine the biggest stars here still left: Chris Hemsworth, Benedict Cumberbatch. They're going to see themselves out of the MCU in short order. 1 or 2 appearances left.
Probably because they're also getting too expensive for them to keep around.
For sure.
News up. Speaking of someone that could be in a future Avengers film or a future Spider-Man movie is Andrew Garfield, who does want to return as the character again, Peter Parker. He played the character in the Amazing Spider-Man movie, saying it would have to be very weird. I think I would like to do something very strange. Is he hinting toward a character? I would want to do something very unique, offbeat, and surprising.
I think the time has passed for me personally. I love Andrew Garfield.
There was a very small window that you were all the way back in on Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man.
Yeah. And now it's like, where are we going to go? Like, we already have so many Spider-Man projects operating like adjacent to the MCU. We do not need an additional one. We just don't. And we all love Spider-Man. We just don't need another one.
I also just thought about this the other day. It's crazy that No Way Home came out 5 years ago, somewhere around there.
21, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a long time ago. We're already in the year 2033. Newsed up. Speaking of 2033, back in 1991, Paul Rudd was in a SNES commercial, Super Nintendo, playing The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past. And as they are revealing a new upcoming console, Nintendo brought back Paul Rudd, who hasn't aged a day since he recorded that. No, he looks a little old now. But they brought him back to recreate the commercial, playing Mario Kart with a couple friends. And he's got the long hair and a cool jacket or shirt, whatever it is.
I mean, if they're grabbing Paul Rudd to recreate 35-year-old commercials, numbers aren't good on Nintendo's end. They're like, oh, we got to fucking goose this up. We got to make sure
people aren't happy with what we've done.
Yeah. So
we can tell you from our TikTok. We can tell you from our TikTok. People are not happy with Nintendo.
No, people hate Nintendo. People hate this rollout.
And because we even talked about it, people are mad.
They all hate us now, too. Yeah.
People always hated us anyways.
That's true.
But I like The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past. One of my favorite Zeldas. You don't like Zelda.
I'm okay with Zelda. It's not my favorite.
Yeah. Well, like in general, you're just saying
Did you ever play Breath of the Wild?
Yeah, I loved it.
People went nuts for it. Didn't care for it.
I loved Breath of the Wild. I didn't get a chance to play that sequel. But by the way, they should have held that sequel for Switch 2, correct?
I bet there was rumblings of that, and now instead they'll just roll out another Mario Kart. Or
also,
Mario
what they, Party. By bringing back Paul Rudd for this commercial, it just made me think, why would you call it Switch 2 and not just call it Super Switch, which then lets you know that it's better than the original Switch?
Yeah, because now it's just Switch also.
Yeah. What's a better name than Ezra? Better than Ezra.
Correct.
Newsed up. Star Wars celebrated their Star Wars celebration. The Disney, Star Wars, Marvel, too many celebrations. Let's pick one day a year because May the 4th is coming up. They're going to do stuff for that too.
Yeah, we're on our 20th anniversary of Revenge of the Sith, which I think we'll talk about in the next week or two. Hayden Christensen, notoriously hated from the original trilogy.
No, everyone loves him now.
Now he's come back. People have restored him somehow, some way, him himself as well. I think people just feel bad. They had regrets.
No, but he is somehow, some way, the ambassador to this franchise.
I know
now.
it's weird. It's bizarre because you cut back to 2005, 2007, like no one wanted Hayden Christensen anywhere near Star Wars, and it's changed. I'm happy for him. I'm happy for his career. I'm happy to see him back as Anakin. Anakin is such a great character. I'm glad he's returning for Ahsoka too. I've
So
nothing.
yeah, he's returning for Ahsoka too, and he's also talked about there's a lot more Darth Vader stories to tell, and he would like to dive into that. But I mean, if you're just doing Darth Vader, do you need him?
How interesting is a Darth Vader story really too? He's just gonna maul everyone.
Nah, he's pretty fucking sweet. He's pretty fucking great. Speaking of Maul, huh? We're getting, you told me an animated show. This is Shadow Lord Maul.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about it, big dog.
I don't know much about it. I do know because Goo somehow still hasn't watched Clone Wars or what's the one that I like more than Clone Wars that I can't? Oh, Rebels. He hasn't watched either of these two programs, in which both, especially later in Clone Wars, Darth Maul plays a substantial role in. And it was great to redeem that character. Speaking of characters that need to be redeemed from the prequel trilogy. And we've all felt it sort of too. Like there are Maul stories to be told because of the rise and fall of him a couple of times here. So I think you can get into some real interesting territory with Maul and operate in different parts of the Star Wars universe with new characters. I hope it's great. I bet it will be. A lot of their animated stuff has been stronger than the live action stuff.
Also at the Star Wars celebration, it was revealed that Sean Levy's Star Wars will start shooting this fall. This stars Ryan Gosling. Mikey Madison did turn down a role in this film. It'll be a standalone film set around 5 to 6 years after Episode 9, and it may bring back some sequel trilogy characters.
I think we can all agree that Ryan Gosling playing like a cool pilot type character is gonna work. It worked in Driver. It worked in Blade Runner 2049. You know, he is a Han Solo sort of personality. I'm in if he's playing that type of character, and it seems I think it's called Starfighter, right, or something like that, whatever the fuck it's supposed to be called.
Not in my notes, so I don't know.
I'm in. Here's the give and take with Star Wars, at least for me. If you give me a one-off, and I fucking love the characters, but it's just a one-off, I get upset because we don't have a trilogy. However,
I was going to ask you, are they going to start testing out a bunch of one-offs? Because you know how we went a decade where they told us about 100 trilogies that they were going to make, and they keep on saying, nah, never mind. Yeah. Why not just start making the one-offs, and if people like that one-off, then you make a trilogy.
Yeah, I guess. But on the flip side, there have been some one-offs and some shows where I haven't cared for stuff, and I'm glad it's over. And so I don't think we're necessarily getting into that with Gosling, but like, Sean Levy doesn't have the best track record. You know, I don't know that I love that he's in charge.
He's going from one Ryan to another.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Ayo.
Also, I don't have this in my notes, but did I read somewhere that they are going to make something, either a television show or something animated, that is something that George Lucas was working on, and now they're going to take it and expand on it?
I haven't heard that either. I think, again, there's caveats here with Star Wars. Like, if it's something Lucas was working on, it's clearly tied to the Skywalkers, right? And so do we still want to keep going back to Skywalker saga stuff, or do we want to keep doing new stuff? Because the last couple of new stuff we've gotten, I've actually enjoyed more than most, but like a lot of people don't like the new stuff.
I'm telling you right now.
They were saying for years, we want new stuff.
I'm telling you right now. If this is true, we are getting closer to my prediction that George Lucas will be running Star Wars again on Disney's dollar.
He's too old. He's too old.
He's never too old. You tell me I'm too old to do stuff too, and look at me. I was sick all day yesterday, and I'm dumping right now.
Look at you.
I think I died for a couple hours. It's crazy.
Happens to the best of us.
Came out of nowhere. I couldn't even walk. Was that even possible?
Yeah. Unable to ambulate.
I almost fell down the stairs. News dump. Got a trailer for him. This is produced by Jordan Peele and directed by Justin Tipping. This is a football movie that appears to be about a prospect who is looking to be drafted, and Marlon Wayans is a coach or a trainer of some sort, and it looks cool, but then they bring in this goat creature. So are they getting into like this weird demonic thing that you have to sacrifice to get into the NFL? Because at first, I was thinking like Playmakers on ESPN, maybe one of the best shows of all time.
Great shows.
That they had to stop making because the NFL said you're a little too close to what's actually happening.
Talking about
We
drugs,
don't want
alcohol, strippers,
Yes.
and concussions.
But then we get into like the demonic stuff, and it's like, okay, so we're going down this road.
Well, so right, and there's been this discussion from Jordan Peele himself and the internet, like, are all Jordan Peele projects operating in the same world? Do they all exist in the same world, the same reality? Now, produced by and directed by are different Jordan Peele things. Maybe. I'm not really sure. Like, I don't know. Like, there's only so far I can stretch reality, right? If for some reason Get Out did it right, but Us didn't really, and there's, even though, because Us was a further stretch. Now, maybe this is a less stretch, cutting back to Get Out territory, but not directed by Jordan Peele. So I don't know if it's truly a Jordan Peele project,
But his other movie, Aliens, but cameras.
Aliens in the Sky. With
the aliens, the cameras are the aliens, and they're just trying to trap you in
What's
there.
the name of that movie?
I forget.
It was decent.
But they talk about Chris Kattan playing a monkey in it, so that really gets me going. If they're making this and Jordan Peele is involved, at least one player has to have a Key and Peele football name.
For sure. No doubt about it. Has to happen.
Off the top of your head, can you name me one?
I liked, was it donkey sounds or donkey noises or something?
I don't know.
Donkey teeth, something like that.
News
They're all funny.
Got our first trailer for I Know What You Did Last Summer. That's the same title as the other one from 1997. But Jennifer Love Hewitt and Freddie Prinze are still here.
Yeah.
And a photo of Sarah Michelle Gellar at her grave.
I need the third act to be Jennifer Love Hewitt suiting up in some like leather bound sexy shit with some weapons and her to just kill.
What are the odds that JLH, there we go, JLH or Freddie Prinze are the killer in this?
Well, I hadn't thought about that. Freddie Prinze more likely than Jennifer Love Hewitt. Don't you dare put that on Jennifer Love Hewitt.
I think you should go the Jennifer Love Hewitt route and make her the killer in this.
But Scream hasn't done that in the requels.
Exactly. So they haven't done it. They should.
No, they're just going to copy Scream as they did 30 years ago.
Most likely. I think the movies had the same writers.
Oh,
it was the guy that wrote for the WB.
At some point, they need to cross Sidney Prescott over with whatever the fuck Jennifer Love Hewitt's character name is.
So that might be what their end goal is here. Like, make just enough movies
like
so that they'll eventually cross them over. Yeah. News up. Glenn Powell and Jude Apatow are working on a comedy together at Universal Pictures. The plot centers on a country western star in a free fall.
I guess Apatow can do that. I don't know if I like this combo, but I like them both separately, if that makes sense. Like, it's probably going to be too family friendly for what the story should be because of Apatow, but I like Apatow movies, so I don't know.
I haven't loved Apatow movies the last couple times around, but it's a good choice to grab onto this shooting star.
Like country western star in a free fall, I'm thinking like A Star Is Born, but obviously this isn't going to be as deep as that.
It shouldn't be that. It should just be a comedy that we all know will go on 45 minutes too long.
Yep.
I say that in the most loving way. I do like Jude Apatow movies. News up. I don't quite understand this, and I'll take it as an insult. Keanu Reeves has been cast as the villain in the Weezer movie. This will be a mockumentary-style film described as a cross between Scott Pilgrim vs. the World and Weird, the Al Yankovic story.
Are you a Weezer guy?
I like early Weezer, but not enough to defend it. Like, even when they were at Boston Common and we had passes, I didn't
Oh,
even go and see them.
I oddly don't really love early Weezer. I like early 2000s Weezer. But I don't
Beverly
really.
Hills.
That's
That's where I wanna be.
Gimme, gimme.
I have never heard anyone claim that they prefer Beverly Hills Weezer.
There you go. But that being said,
Hold up, but are you for real right now?
well, I don't really like Weezer. That's what I'm getting at.
Well, Mac eats his candy with pork and beans.
I don't know. First of all, even if you do like Weezer, I don't think you'd be on board with this idea. I don't know if there's a pop. They're just simply not popular enough for this to happen. And number two, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World should, like, you can't really mimic that story in that movie. Even the movie itself couldn't really mimic the comic. Weird, the Al Yankovic story was not good. It went too far.
It was funny for the first half of it.
It was not good. It wasn't a good
But
movie.
also, it wasn't as good as Dewey Cox. That did a lot of the same stuff.
Yeah, and came out 15 years prior.
And was way, way better.
Way better.
But also, I can't get over the fact that you just said you prefer Beverly Hills Weezer.
But start that with the caveat is I don't really like Weezer, so I like their pop more. I like their more popish over their more rockish.
I don't think anyone jumped on Weezer at that point being like, you know what? This sounds good.
Me. I do like My Name is Jonas, though.
My Name is Jonas. Suzanne is my favorite of their songs.
Okay.
You're all that I want in a girl. They did a song like Happy Days.
I'm gonna look up Weezer's top 5 on Spotify right now.
News dump. We got some news on Toy Story 5. It'll be a Jesse-focused story, and Ernie Hudson will take over as Commander Cowell, or something, the role of Combat Carl, taking over for Carl Weathers. Yes, Mac?
I mean, I think I was wrong about Weezer.
After some extensive research,
Say It Ain't
Google,
So. Say It Ain't So is like one of my favorite songs of all time. So there you go. I don't care for Buddy Holly, though. Is that fair?
Okay, so just simple enough. You don't like Buddy Holly, but you don't mind the rest of their catalog.
I don't really like Island in the Sun either. So I guess
like Island in the Sun.
I do like Beverly Hills. I don't know why. It's fucking annoying.
It's not a good song.
My Name is Jonas and Say It Ain't So are two of my favorite songs of my whole lifetime. So I don't know. I guess I don't know how to like Weezer.
Are you excited about the movie now? I don't know what's happening.
Someone teach me how to like Weezer, I guess.
That could be a Weezer song. Someone teach me how to love Weezer.
It could be. And that, you know what? That's why I figured out I don't actually like Weezer. Now that you framed it that way, I don't like Weezer. But I love two Weezer songs.
Have you seen the Matt Damon sketch on SNL when it's him and Leslie Jones arguing about old Weezer versus new Weezer?
No.
It's pretty good. It's not as good as their Shrek sketch with Sterling K. Brown yelling at his in-laws about how Shrek is the best animated movie of all time, but it's in that same ilk.
Okay. Got it.
How'd you like that Toy Story 5 news?
I don't know. Like, Toy Story 4 had no reason to be as good as it was, and it was really good. So I don't know.
It was, but
anymore.
I also, upon a rewatch, say, what was the point of making this movie?
I agree.
I don't know.
And I think going in, we sort of felt that way, and then it was fucking way better than it had any business being. So I guess I'm like cautiously optimistic on TS5. I don't know.
Toys versus machines, by the way. That's what it is. News up. Just this past week, Cartoon All-Stars to the Rescue turned 35 years old. Back on April 21st, 1990, the special aired on ABC, CBS, NBC, and Fox all at the same time, telling kids, don't do drugs. And I can tell you this as someone who rented that movie that was brought to VHS by McDonald's and Buena Vista Home Entertainment, that I've never done heroin, so thank you.
Yeah, I guess so.
When McDonald's put the video together, they also put a nice introduction at the front of the tape by George H.W. Bush, Barbara Bush, and their dog, Millie.
That's how I feel about Cartoon All-Stars. I never was aware of Cartoon All-Stars until we started this podcast, and you introduced me to Cartoon All-Stars. So I've never seen it. I probably never will.
Poster right there for it. I love it.
Yeah,
It's the greatest crossover event of all time, one would argue.
I would say, what percentage of people our age is aware of Cartoon All-Stars? 10 years older? I'm sure very aware. Our age, not that aware.
You never saw it during DARE class?
Never. Not once.
I saw it during DARE class. I saw it during health class in middle school. And like I said, it is the most rented movie of my lifetime at Blockbuster Video.
Fair enough.
Think about it, though.
How long is
Looney
it? 30
Tunes.
minutes? 40 minutes?
32-ish minutes, I believe.
Okay.
Looney Tunes, Disney, Alvin and the Chipmunks, Smurfs, Michelangelo, Alf, Garfield.
They only got one turtle?
Yeah, they only needed one turtle. You can't squeeze all 4 turtles in there.
Okay.
Muppet Babies. And that's all off the top of my head.
Do you think they should run this back with Lego now? Because Lego owns all these, or has licenses for all these
So now,
IPs.
you only do that with stuff that needs improvement. They kind of nailed it on their first shot.
Okay.
Yeah, they nailed it on their first shot.
Got it.
So once again, thank you for my clean life, as you can see by my axes on my hand, because I'm clean.
Here's a question I'll ask you. Do you think drug abuse has improved or declined since April 21st, 1990?
So I would say that it probably improved for a great period of time, but then as less people saw this, it picked back up.
Oh, so that's what I'm saying. We need a reboot.
Okay, so maybe you do this, but you dub in a couple lines of don't do fentanyl. I don't know which character would say it, but maybe Alvin says it, Simon, Theodore, one of the Chipmunks.
I would like a cartoon Danny DeVito to do that, because that's what that sounded like.
So you bring in Phil, the half goat man from Hercules, or you bring in the coach from Looney Tunes Space Jam. Those are 2 Danny DeVito voice characters.
There you go.
Bring them both in, and they have a discussion, like an extra scene, and they just talk about not doing.
It's like an epilogue.
Not doing ecstasy.
I always forget.
A midlog, if you will.
What's epilogues after, I think.
But talk about some new trendy drugs, and just have a new Danny DeVito scene right in the middle of all of his animated characters talking about it.
Or just have him and Charlie.
But not
animated.
But if you just bring in all of his animated characters, you only have to pay one voiceover guy, and you're all set.
If you had to do one drug right now, what drug would you do?
I'll tell you what it isn't. It's heroin, and it's because of this movie.
I think ecstasy would be my answer.
I think I would do Advil, but only if I had a full stomach.
That doesn't count. Advil doesn't count. I take Advil on an everyday basis.
I do, as only the bottle tells me.
Yeah, which is every day, every 4 to 6 hours.
News dump. This just came in from Variety. Bill Hader and Daniel Zellman are currently developing an HBO series centered on Jim Jones and the infamous events at the People's Temple Agricultural Project, aka Jonestown. Hader is eyeing, or has been eyeing, this potentially star. He's eyeing to potentially star this as well. And Zellman is known for his writing and production on Damages, Bloodline, and Fool's Gold. Also, previously married to Deborah Messing.
That's how I would know him. Big Deborah Messing guy. I am in on this, and maybe this is why it shouldn't get made. I am in on this if there's a slightly comedic spin on this story with Bill Hader.
Kind of like Barry, how there was a slightly comedic spin on him murdering many of people.
Yes, I need a slight comedic hinge in there. That's this is all preposterous, so let's make it mildly comedic. I don't condone all that many people dying, but if we are going to do this story, that's how I'd like it done.
In the first episode of The Studio, the new Seth Rogen show on Apple TV Plus, I still have not bought into my next couple episodes yet, so I'll check those out eventually. I didn't love the first episode.
Okay.
But in the first episode, they had just gotten the rights to the Kool-Aid Man, or Kool-Aid as a property to make a movie out of.
Our
and he was he was also going to talk to Martin Scorsese about making a movie, and Scorsese wanted to make a Jonestown movie. And he was like, holy shit, we can use Kool-Aid. We can make that the title of it. But then they had to dump that because the studio's like, we can't sell that. We can't sell this.
Right.
We also just talked with
Because
Kool-Aid
it's also
about
going to make it look like Kool-Aid's what killed everyone at Jonestown.
It's also going to be like, we have to make billions of dollars. And if you're making a rated R Jonestown, you aren't going to do that.
Right. But an HBO series, maybe.
An HBO series. I'm in. Newsed up. Speaking of HBO series, Last of Us is back. I still need to catch up. You are both episodes in.
I've seen the second episode twice now, and I never rewatched.
You
television
rewatched
episodes.
something?
I'll tell you what, Goo. I can't say it's the best episode of television I've watched in a long time because I don't really know what that means. I will say it is the episode of television that has most made me feel like I was watching a movie since Breaking Bad, probably. And I'm not a Thrones guy, so take that with a grain of salt. I said maybe. It's fucking incredible. It's like 3-tiered storytelling, characters and actions all being meaningful. Big action set piece that makes you feel like you're in a movie. Also, like, I don't know, Goo. It was a fantastic episode of television. And I'm like, so I'm not going to spoil it for you. I was aware loosely of what happens in the second game. So I was expecting certain things for this season. After this episode, I don't know how we're going to proceed to the next plot point. So I'm intrigued. It's just, you got to watch it. You got to watch it twice, maybe.
Twice. Have you ever listened to the same song twice? Or when you hear
I do that all the time.
Beverly Hills, you say, that's perfection. I don't need to hear it again.
Please.
Newsed up.